welcome to episode 114 of Scar Bearers. I'm Chris D.T. Gordon. As always, it's a pleasure and a blessing to have you here with me today. And helping me out on the back end are Nate and Britton Barron. If you want to reach out to them so they can help you with your projects, reach out to them at Nate Barron. Well, folks, it is summertime as you're listening to this, and it is a great time to go out and have fun. But also, we can't forget that when we come home again, we still have those struggles we have to deal with. And, you know, no matter where we go to vacation, they're always there waiting for us, and we have to deal with them. And the best way to deal with them is with more gratitude, positivity, and resilience. So please reach out to me at chrisdtgordon.com so I can help you develop your tag, the attitude of gratitude, and also stop by the merch store and grab a nice "What is your favorite dinosaur" t-shirt. You know, it's a great conversation starter, especially for little kids and those people who are just sad because no one asks them what their favorite dinosaur is anymore. So I have my new friend Emma G here with me. Emma, how are you today?
I am wonderful, Chris. I love that question. It's such a great question. And I only say that because I'm that person when you get into an elevator with me, I will ask you a random question.
Nice. I love people like that because it makes the memories. You know,
it does, and I think it gets people out of their funk, you know, like
yes.
out of the I don't know, the humdrum that we tend to kind of get lost in, like, oh, what is my favorite dinosaur? That's a great question.
Yeah. I thought of it when I saw someone post one time and they were lamenting that no one asks them what their favorite dinosaur is anymore. And I said, you know what? I'm going to be that guy.
Go you. I support this.
So thank you. So yeah, it's created a lot of conversation and a t-shirt. So, you know, why not?
I love it. I love it.
Thank you. So not only are we random askers of questions to people in strange places, but we also share a distinction of being the recipient of numerous surgeries. We're talking double digits.
Yep.
However, you know, from what I understand, your surgery journey started much earlier in life than mine did.
Yeah, so I was diagnosed at the age of 4 months with a condition called hydrocephalus. My mother was in labor with me for 30 hours. And so that was already a relatively chaotic introduction into the universe. However, at my 4-month checkup, the doctors noticed that my head was growing too quickly in proportion to the rest of my body. And that's how they realized that I had a cyst in the middle of my brain, which was blocking off the aqueduct going down my spinal column. So cerebral spinal fluid can get into my head, but it had no way of exiting. So at the age of 4 months, I had a tube or a shunt inserted into my cranium, draining down into my peritoneal cavity. And throughout my lifetime, as a result, I've had 10 brain surgeries. Wow. And 24 surgeries in total.
Wow. And so, you know, you said you had 10 brain surgeries. What were the other surgeries for?
Great question. So the shunt, like I said, goes from my cranium down into my peritoneal cavity. So when blockages occur, they need to figure out where that blockage is. And they tend to go first for the peritoneal cavity, you know, the torso area, because brain surgery is a little more complicated than the torso area. So
science.
I mean, no, it's just brain surgery. It's nothing, you know, whatever. So their initial response is to look in the peritoneal to see if they can find the blockage in the shunt in that area, and if it's not there, then they go into the brain.
Okay. Oh wow. And so as a result, yeah, I imagine that life as a child with going through so many surgeries probably wasn't, you know, the kind of childhood you want anyone to have.
I mean, yes and no. I say that because I don't believe in regrets, and I don't believe in feeling less than because of your negative experiences.
Okay.
Like I wouldn't say to somebody, "Oh, I really hope that your baby has to have brain surgery,"
Yeah.
because that would be a really terrible wish to anybody.
Yeah.
But in saying that, like if somebody was to have my condition and have subsequent brain surgeries, I know from the jump that that child is going to grow into a very resilient young person. I
Yep.
know from the jump that young person's going to, you know, instinctively develop really great art, really great ways of expressing themselves that are not normal, quote unquote, because when you are born into situations of adversity or just flung into adversity, we have to figure out ways of being able to cope with it, with said adversity, right? So, right, I wouldn't wish it upon anybody, but in saying that, I'm in some ways really grateful for the fact that I have had the history that I have had, because I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing these days, I believe, if it weren't for that. And I say that because, I'm a musician, I'm a songwriter, I am a youth empowerment coach, I'm an author now and a speaker, and it's because I was forced to try and figure out a way to be heard and feel understood as a result of my brain surgeries. And that is because, when you're a 9-year-old who's had brain surgery and your friends are calling you Frankenstein, freak, and every other cuss word that they know at the age of 9, it's difficult to kind of find a place. And so I made my own place. And I don't think that I would have been able to do that if I didn't have my condition.
Again, I'm sad that you had to go through that, yet as you said, I'm happy that you were able to find that strength. And I want to go back to, I guess it would be 9 years old. What was the first time that you found, I guess, a solace, or you were able to express yourself in that way?
Well, it wasn't 9. It was actually much earlier. I started making up songs when I was, 3 or 4 years old.
Okay.
I didn't know how to write very well back then. So my mother would write down the lyrics for me. And so at the age of 4, I wrote a song called Hush Away, which was the first, I guess, the first example of how I used songwriting to help myself understand myself. It was a lullaby to myself about holding on, a lullaby to myself about finding ways to hold on to positive experiences rather than negative. And so, 4 years old is kind of the answer, but at the age of 5, I wrote a song called School is Cool because I was so excited about education. And then from the age of 6 is when I really started leaning into songwriting. Garbage and No Doubt were just coming onto the RTR Countdown MTV world when I was about 7. So, in addition to dealing with hydrocephalus and brain surgery, I was also trying to make sense of feminism and my place in the world as a young girl. So I wrote my first feminist song at the age of 7. And then from there, I just kind of kept snowballing. I was honestly, some days I would write 3 or 4 songs in one day. And that was just my way of communicating. That was my way of trying to be heard and talk to my mother and try to make sense of the world around me. So yeah, it's always been something. By the age of 12, I think I'd written over 350 songs.
Wow. Did you catalog them all and keep them someplace?
Oh yeah, they're all on my hard drive.
Oh wow, nice.
Yeah. And I still write relatively prolifically, but nowadays, because of adulthood or whatever, all the responsibilities we pretend we have, I recognize more and more that while songwriting has been integral on my healing journeys, my philosophy used to be that I wanted to save the world one song at a time. What I'm realizing now is that by saving the world one song at a time, that happens one child at a time. I can touch people with my music, sure, but if I can help other young people find their voice, find their truth, find their resilience and healing through songwriting, then I will help them find the tools in doing that, you know? So I started very young. I now work with young people to do the same thing. And I don't know, I'm a very big believer that we all have the answers in us. We just need to allow ourselves to be still to do it. And so that's why I've been lucky enough as an only child to be able to write from such a young age, you know?
Yeah, that's fantastic that you're able to use that outlet, you know, that formerly was just used to calm yourself and to help you find a center to help others. And so what was the first instance of your music affecting someone else positively?
That's a great question. I've got no idea. Because I say that because you never quite know the impact you have on another person.
Yep.
So I don't know the answer to that question. However, what I can say is the first example of, I guess, the impact, me seeing an impact on the music I was writing. I was a very precocious kid. And so at the age of 9, I wrote a song called Look Around, which was about environmental awareness, poverty, and, you know, encouraging people to not pollute and not litter. So I wrote the song Look Around. It won I was one of 20 winners to get recorded onto an album that was nationally distributed across New Zealand. And then as a result of that album and that song, I was flown to a worldwide symposium, youth symposium at Disney World, Florida, to meet other young people who were wanting to make an impact on their communities. And that was where I got to see Christopher Reeves speak.
Oh, wow.
And the original Superman.
Yes.
I know you're a Marvel person, so
A little, yeah. A little bit.
I don't know if you're a DC Comics person, but
Well, I am too.
Okay.
I like, you know, the Flash.
Okay, I see you. I love Flash. He's great. But yeah, so that was, I guess, kind of the first evidence of me having a positive impact. I also got to sing the song for our then Prime Minister, Helen Clark, in New Zealand, which was really, that was the very first time I was ever nervous for a performance. Oh my goodness, it was insane. Yeah, and so, but I think the very first time that I actually knew that one of my songs directly affected somebody wasn't until I moved to America. And it was a few years ago, actually, that a woman came up to, I used to be a street performer here in DC, and I would sing every morning, really early in the mornings, for people on their way to work from 6:45 to like 10 o'clock in the morning. And I had a woman randomly rush up to me one morning and thrust an envelope into my hand and say, "Oh my goodness, I've been looking for you everywhere here." And then she ran off. And I was really naive and probably shouldn't have opened the envelope straight away without practicing some caution. But nonetheless, I opened the envelope and she'd written me this full typed letter with a Starbucks gift card stating how much of an impact my music had on her life, how she was very stressed every day. She was a single mom working 2 jobs to try to make ends meet. She had very little in her life that she felt that gave her hope and positivity, but my music was something that did give her strength and positivity. And she addressed the letter to Songbird. And so as a result of that, I ended up getting this songbird tattooed on my arm.
Oh, that's awesome.
As a sort of a thank you and a reminder that, you know, we're not here to serve ourselves, we're here to serve other people. And my way of serving is through music, whether it's through my own or through coaching, doesn't matter. It's about making sure that whatever effect I have on people is one that makes them feel loved, seen, validated, strong, empowered. So yeah, and that was, I still cry whenever I think about that interaction.
That is so powerful, like you said, because And it's also like you said, we never know who we are affecting with our messages, with our stories, with our presentations.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so did you ever use that gift card?
Yes, I did. But I didn't drink coffee back then. I was really in love with those dragon fruit juices.
Okay, all right, yeah,
And so I think I used that for a dragon fruit and for a bagel. I don't know.
okay,
But
all right. I bet it tasted pretty good.
I mean, valid. Although nowadays I've fallen in love with coffee now. Not Starbucks coffee. I'm a bit of a snob when it comes to my coffee, but yeah, yeah. But I
Okay,
still have the written letter from her.
yeah, that's
Um,
awesome.
yeah.
That's fantastic. So, going back to the surgeries, I know that we had chatted through the questions you answered earlier about their effect on your short-term memory.
Hmm.
Now, how do you are you still struggling with that, and how does your music help you combat that struggle?
Great question. So yes, it does still affect my short-term memory, to the point that my partner, he is often is flummoxed as to why I have forgotten details from time to time. But it's interesting because I learned recently through the Hydrocephalus Awareness Association here in Rockville, Maryland, that there's a great number of people across America who have been wrongfully diagnosed with having dementia when in fact they actually have hydrocephalus. And a lot of that is down to the fact that memory is so badly affected by this condition. So, I mean, my memory is not terrible, but my short term memory can be a little bit funky from time to time. So, I'm really grateful that I do have something like songwriting and music to help me remember things. So one of the things very simple that I do is I'll play music around the house, because when I can associate a memory with a song, that memory now sticks in my brain a little bit more. Now, in terms of how it actually affects the brain on a brain science level, music, we all know, stimulates the brain in multiple ways. One is that music stimulates the memories part of our brain. It stimulates the left hand and right hand of our brain as well. And so when those two hemispheres of our brain are stimulated simultaneously, that means that the nucleus accumbens is stimulated. The nucleus accumbens is rooted at the bottom of our cranium near our spine. Yep. And it's made up of millions, I think 200 million nerves, which when stimulated help develop and recreate brain growth in areas of the brain where the brain might otherwise be lacking. So because I have memory issues, by stimulating both sides of the brain simultaneously, the nucleus accumbens becomes fired up, and then memory helps to get restored by writing the music or singing the music or even listening to the music. Not so much listening though. If I can write a song that is associated with a situation or a circumstance, or listen to a song that I've written previously about a situation, then it just helps to facilitate that memory.
So basically, music jumpstarts your brain
in multiple ways. That's just one specific way that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But yes.
No, thanks for sharing that. That's it's quite fascinating that we have come so far in science and technology that we still are learning about how the brain functions. And so that's fantastic that you shared that with us. Thank you so much.
Of course, I'm sorry. I get a little bit scientific sometimes, and
it's that's your life. And the fact that you know so much about how your brain is triggered by music only makes you a stronger and more powerful presenter, speaker, musician, and you have a greater impact in the world because of that.
Thank you. Knowledge is power, right?
Yes,
And I
exactly.
think, as Jim Rohn says, the most important knowledge we should have is about ourselves.
Yes,
So yeah, it's been a journey.
it has. Yeah, and you've alluded already to what you're doing right now, but so maybe flesh it out a little bit more. What's keeping you busy these days?
Well, that's a great question as well. I know that once this goes live, this will already have been out, but
Yeah.
I'm currently just this morning was featured full page thing in the Washington Post about my upcoming album, which drops in a few days, which is super
Congratulations.
exciting. Thank you. The album is called I Am and features 6 tracks that I wrote. So let me pause. Back in February 2021, I wrote a song a day for 30 days straight.
Mm-mm.
That process was, I sort of underwent that process because now that I'm a youth empowerment through songwriting coach, I wanted to kind of lead by example. Working with teenagers is fine and dandy, but no teenager really listens to somebody unless they can walk the walk as well as talk the talk. So it
Yes.
was important for me to walk the walk and write a song a day. And sort of over those 30 days, I was finding I was writing songs about things that I had never dared to even think about, let alone address. So I released an album of some of those songs last year. This album talks about depression and suicidality. It talks about self-love. It talks about resilience. It talks about racism, which, for those who aren't aware, I am a Black appearing woman living in America, originally from New Zealand, with a white American mother and a Fijian father. But this album is very vulnerable to me, and that was important for me because if I'm going to encourage young people to be real with themselves, I needed to be real with myself. So this album's going to be, it's just a testament to my own journeys, so that I can help other young people step into their power through songwriting. And then, of course, my latest book came out recently, Reconnect with Your Teenager: A Parent's Guide to Helping Your Stressed or Anxious Kid Through the Art of Songwriting. And then this morning just signed a contract to perform in Wisconsin at Summerfest alongside Wiz Khalifa and Wu-Tang Clan
Oh my
and
goodness.
various other artists at this ridiculous multi-day festival, which is insane. And other artists. I mean, that's a very the weekend that I'm playing is with Wiz Khalifa and Wu-Tang Clan.
Yeah.
Other weekends will have like Avril Lavigne and I think I don't know, just like the Backstreet Boys are playing, and
Oh my
there's some
gosh.
like this Hailstorm is playing, like ridiculous artists that I've been
Yeah.
idolizing for years. So I'm really honored and grateful for that opportunity. And I mean, who knows, man? It's April. Let's see,
Yeah.
let's see what
Where
else is going to happen.
where in Wisconsin is this going to take place?
It's in Milwaukee,
Okay. All right.
which is hilarious for me because, unbeknownst to some, I was a massive Hanson fan back in the 90s, and that's where Hanson are from. So I'm like, okay, this is awesome.
Yeah. No, I live in Minnesota, which is right next door.
Right, and my
So I
family's in
guess
Iowa.
relatively
So,
speaking.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. So I might have to come and say, hey, what's up?
Yeah, you find yourself in New Ulm, we'll have some German beer, there you go.
I'm down. Let's do it.
So they have a fest too. I don't think Wu-Tang Clan's gonna be playing at Bavarian Blast. Who knows?
You never know, man. 2022,
Yeah,
the new normal. Anything's
exactly.
possible.
Well, Emma, it is so exciting to hear that everything is going so well for you.
Thank you.
And I'm just really looking forward to what becomes of your career next, and how much you affect people with not only with your music but with your message.
Thank you.
And so, as we wrap up, I like to ask people, what is something that they are thankful for now that at the time they would never have thought that this is something to consider a blessing?
I don't know if I can deduce that down to one answer. I
Okay.
think it's it's really important for me to recognize that every hurdle has had a positive. Let me back that up a little bit. There is a Native American tale of two wolves that I discovered at the beginning of 2020, which changed my life. I've always kind of thought about life this way, but never quite in this way. The tale is of a grandfather talking to his grandson about the two wolves that live inside of us. One wolf is the wolf of greed, anger, frustration, sadness, negativity. The other wolf is one of love, compassion, empathy, and positivity. These two wolves are battling every single day. The grandson looks at the grandfather concerned and asks, well, which wolf wins if they're constantly fighting? And the grandfather responds, whichever wolf you feed. So, to your question, I think everything that I have endured in my entire life could be viewed through the lens of the angry, bitter, bigoted, whatever wolf. But I don't ever want to live my life sour or upset, because that takes a lot of energy and it doesn't serve anybody, let alone myself. So, I'm grateful for the fact that I've had 10 brain surgeries, because it makes me a more empathetic person. I'm grateful for the fact that I've had 24 surgeries, because that makes me, helped me to kind of meet these incredible humans in hospital with me, that helped me to learn more about the education system and ways to hack the education system in a way that benefit those who fall behind or are not catered for suitably. I'm grateful for the multiple abuses I have had to endure from other people in my life, whether that's physical abuse, sexual abuse, verbal abuse, mental health abuse. Unfortunately, we live in a world that exists. But I'm grateful for that, because A, it's given me the tools to build resiliency, and B, it's been able to give me a platform to speak to others who are also going through those abuses and give them the tools to help them out of unhealthy situations. I'm grateful for the fact that I had an eating disorder, because now my partner and I work tirelessly to help his health and fitness clients to have a healthy, loving relationship with their bodies. Everything I think in life is sent to test us. And I just constantly want to make sure that I'm feeding my wolf of love and happiness.
I think that should be your next song.
The wolf I feed?
Wolf.
Oh, I do. That was my last album last year, Born in Christ.
Oh, was it? Okay. All right. I just have a good knack for picking songs then, but that's fantastic.
Thank you.
And I think, I might have heard that Native American tale in a different way, but I just love the way you explained it.
Thank you.
And so thank you very much for sharing that with me and the audience. So where can we find you, Emma, so that to experience all that you have to offer?
Super easy, Chris. Just Google Emma G Music and you will see my little face. Otherwise you can look Emma G Music on all social media platforms or emmagmusic.com.
Excellent. Well, we'll make sure we put that in the show notes and let people know where you can be found.
Fantastic.
So I have my favorite question to ask, and I already asked it in a general sense. What is your favorite dinosaur?
My favorite dinosaur, Chris, is a T-Rex, because if I was a T-Rex, I would be an Emma G-Rex, and I think that's pretty gangster.
That is pretty solid. That's a good answer. Emma, it's been an absolute delight to talk with you. And I'm so excited to learn where your journey takes you. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Chris. Have an amazing day on purpose.
Exactly. Thank you. And so, folks, if you want to check out what Emma G's up to, go check out Emma G Music, Google it, look for it at all the different music places. Maybe if you're in Wisconsin in July or in the summer, go to Milwaukee and check her out next to the Wu-Tang Clan and the Backstreet Boys.
Crazy.
Yes, that's quite the lineup. And if you want to find out what I'm up to, go to chrisdtgordon.com. You can download a free tag one sheet so you can practice the attitude of gratitude at any time of day. You can, again, buy a shirt at the merch store. What is your favorite dinosaur? Start a conversation. You can also, watch my YouTube channel and my podcast, Scar Bears, which you're already doing. So thank you. And just Google my name and you can find out other information about me, Chris D.T. Gordon. And as always, please like and share this message with others. Subscribe to the channel. That really helps me out. And leave a rating and review to let people know what value you got from this episode. Well, folks, as always, I thank you so much for being with me today. Please have a great day. And remember to pass on perfection and go for greatness.